that tomorrow your car, into which you've invested tens of thousands of dollars, suddenly loses its value. Not by a few hundred, but by tens of thousands at once. Millions of Americans are about to fall into this trap without even realizing that a financial storm is already looming over their garages. Behind the scenes of dealerships and bank offices, the largest car market crisis in decades has taken shape. It's already being called the used car apocalypse. It's not just about falling prices. This is a massive process of wealth redistribution. Some will lose everything, while others will be in the right place at the right time and be able to buy a car with a record discount we may never see again in our lifetime. Let's face it, for 3 years the market was overheated. Cars that should have been depreciating were instead gaining value. People overpaid tens of thousands, taking out loans with monthly payments comparable to a mortgage. But the system rested on just 3 pillars: supply chain disruptions, cheap credit, and the shortage of rental fleet cars. All 3 pillars collapsed almost at once. Today, every day in America, banks repossess 15,000 cars from owners who can't keep up with payments. Tomorrow, millions of lease returns and rental fleet cars will join them. At auctions, endless rows of cars are piling up and there are simply no buyers. Dealers are desperate, banks are tightening credit, and ordinary people have no idea that their faithful car is turning into a financial anchor dragging them down. And here's the main question: will you be among those who sink with the market, or will you turn chaos into opportunity and buy a car at a price that seems impossible? Today, we'll reveal what's really happening in the market, when to expect the bottom, and how not to miss the chance of a lifetime. The collapse of the used car market is no longer a myth but a reality unfolding right now. Imagine, Jason from Detroit buys his long-awaited Ford F-250 for $64,000. Just a year later, the exact same truck is listed by his dealer for $51,000. $13,000 vanished into thin air. And this is not an isolated case. According to analysts, in just the past 3 months, prices on popular models have dropped by an average of 8%, and in some regions up to 12%. What was once considered a safe investment is now turning into a financial trap. The situation is made worse by dealerships hiding the true scale of the drop. Journalists from the independent outlet Car Market Watch claim that in several major dealership chains, salespeople are directly instructed not to tell customers about sharp auction price declines. Internal dealer reports show that on average, each vehicle on the lot loses about $900, but the real intrigue lies elsewhere. People like Jason or Maria from Phoenix are just the tip of the iceberg. Behind every such story are millions of Americans who don't yet realize that tomorrow their cars will be worth less than the loan they still owe. And when they finally do realize it, it will already be too late. That's why this collapse is called not a correction, but the auto apocalypse. It will hit not just owners, but banks, dealers, and the entire economy. For 3 years, the used car market stood on a fragile foundation that is now crumbling before our eyes. The first pillar was the global shortage of new cars. Semiconductor supplies ran dry, factories halted, and dealers sold whatever they had at inflated prices. That allowed used vehicles to skyrocket in value against all logic. In 2021, for instance, a used Toyota Camry cost more than a brand new one did in 2019. But now supply has been restored, manufacturers' lots are filling up, and the artificial shortage is gone. According to auto data, in just the last 6 months, new car inventory has risen by 47%, the highest jump in a decade. Banks were issuing auto loans at 2% interest, and even the riskiest deals looked safe. Americans signed up for $700 monthly payments, treating them as normal. But rising Federal Reserve rates changed everything. Today, the average rate on used car loans exceeds 10%, reaching as high as 15% in some states. This effectively shuts millions of buyers out of the market. Representatives from Midwest Trust Bank admitted that loan approval rates have fallen by nearly a third in recent months. The third pillar was rental companies. During the pandemic, Hertz, Enterprise, and Avis sold off much of their fleets and stopped supplying the usual 2 million cars per year into the market. That deepened the shortage. Now the tables have turned. Rental firms are replenished and are dumping older cars en masse. Internal data from a Texas auction house shows that in October alone, Hertz sent over 18,000 cars to sale, double last year's volume. All three pillars collapsed simultaneously, creating a domino effect. Artificially inflated prices cannot survive without supports, and the market has begun falling faster than even cautious experts predicted. Few people realize that cars on dealer lots don't actually belong to the dealers. Most are bought with borrowed money through a system called floor plan financing, where each car costs the dealer $30.40 a day in interest and fees. If vehicles sell quickly, this model works, but when sales stall, every day is like water dripping from the ceiling, flooding the room. A Wisconsin dealer admitted his trucks have sat on the lot for over 90 days, costing him nearly $3,000. 0 cents in financing fees per unit. Last month, he was forced to sell 5 pickups at a $6,000, $7,000 loss each, just to stop the bleeding. The bigger problem is when prices fall, banks panic. They send auditors, recalculate values, and demand the dealer immediately cover the shortfall. These margin calls are sweeping the country. 3 dealerships in Ohio already shut down because they couldn't repay lenders after car values plunged. In private dealer forums, comparisons abound. This is 2008 all over again, but instead of houses, it's dealerships collapsing, and this is only the first wave. Next comes the avalanche of repossessions. Officially, banks repossess up to 15,000 vehicles every day from owners who can't pay. In reality, experts say it's even higher, as some cases are reported with delays. Bank storage lots are overflowing. A Texas repossession contractor said his team hauled over 600 cars in 1 month, a third more than the year before. All these vehicles flood auctions, joined by lease returns whose projected values were wildly off. This hidden pipeline is the very market force preparing to crash car values nationwide. The used car crisis is being fueled not just by oversupply, but by issues few dare to discuss. One of them is the surge of so-called zombie cars. In the last 2 years, America has seen dozens of floods and storms that damaged hundreds of thousands of vehicles. Carfax estimates that Hurricane Ian alone submerged about 40,000 in Florida. Some were scrapped, but around 45,000 re-entered the market with clean titles after title washing scam. Inspectors call them ticking time bombs. At first they look pristine, but within 6 months, wiring fails, brakes corrode, and airbags malfunction. Recently in Georgia, reporters uncovered a lot with over 200 such vehicles lined up, marketed as family-ready. Add to that the domino effect. J.D. Power analysts forecast used car prices will fall at least 20–30% by late 2025. Some insiders warn it could be closer to 40%. That means a $30,000 0 cents car losing up to $12,000 0 cents in just a year. Dealers accustomed to making easy margins on resales are slashing prices, while banks pile on pressure. In September, one of Texas's largest auctions reported record SUV price drops, down 18% in a single quarter. The consequences ripple throughout the system. Up to 40% of dealership revenue comes from used cars. If that vanishes, not only do showrooms shutter, but service centers too. Industry voices now warn as many as 20% of dealerships could close by mid-2026. That means fewer jobs, less tax revenue, and fewer choices for consumers. What begins as falling car prices threatens to unravel entire communities. The U.S. auto market has always run on credit. Without it, it grinds to a halt. Over 80% of new cars and about 60% of used ones are bought with financing. As long as loans were cheap, the system held. But now everything is changing fast. Banks are tightening borrower requirements, and what seemed normal yesterday is today a wall, according to the Auto Lenders Association. In the past 6 months, minimum credit score thresholds have risen by 50 points, and average down payments have doubled. Buyers who just last year drove off in brand new SUVs are now told to put $10,000, 0 cents, $15,000, 0 cents down. The stories are striking. Daniel from North Carolina, with a strong 770 score, expected great terms on a 3-year-old BMW. Instead, the bank demanded 20% down and quoted him 6.9% interest. Just a year ago, his neighbor got the same car with 5% down at 3.5%. Internal bank reports leaked to the press predicted defaults will rise 18% by next year's end. To protect themselves, lenders are effectively shutting the door even on reliable borrowers. This triggers a vicious cycle. Fewer loans mean fewer buyers mean more unsold cars. The longer cars sit, the faster values fall. Falling values push more owners underwater, owing more than their vehicles are worth. That sparks more defaults, which prompts banks to tighten credit even further. Analysts now call it the spiral of the auto credit crisis. If the trend continues, by 2026 the market may be paralyzed, and buying a car could become a luxury out of reach for millions. For millions of Americans, a car isn't just transportation. It's their second most valuable asset after a home. And today that asset has turned into a trap. More and more owners owe more on their loans than their vehicles are worth. Edmunds reports nearly 40% of active auto loans are underwater. This means anyone trying to sell or trade in their car instantly takes a massive loss. Take James, a construction foreman from Arizona. In 2021, he bought a Toyota Tundra for $56,000, 0 cents. Now, dealers offer just $38,000, 0 cents, while he still owes $45,000, 0 cents. The dealer's solution was to roll the $7,000, 0 cents. For James, that was the breaking point. He can't trade up, but keeping the truck means sinking further into debt. Economists warn this surge in underwater owners will slow both new and used car sales, deepening the crash. It's a self-feeding fire, where each default throws more fuel on the blaze. The trap threatens not just families, but entire economic sectors dependent on a stable car market. Automakers now find themselves trapped in a disaster they helped ignite. For the past 3 years, they've been running factories at full tilt to recover pandemic losses. Plants in Detroit, Texas, and Alabama pumped out record numbers of SUVs and trucks, chasing the massive profits dealers were making. But that gamble backfired. New cars flooded lots, and companies face a stark choice: cut production and lose economies of scale, or slash prices and tank last year's value. Cox Automotive reports U.S. new car inventory hit 2.5 million units by fall 2025, 40% above average. Already, GM and Ford are offering $7,000, 0 cents $1,000, 0 cents discounts on trucks just to move metal. One executive privately admitted, "We caused this crash ourselves. Customers who bought last year are furious. Their cars have lost 15–20% in months." The electric vehicle sector is hit hardest. Automakers poured billions into EV development and promised bold timelines, half of model lines electric by 2030. But with falling demand and rising skepticism, those timelines are slipping. Rumors swirl that several brands are shelving new EV launches and renegotiating battery contracts with Asian suppliers. The fallout stretches beyond buyers. Tens of thousands of jobs, engineers, designers, factory workers, logistics crews, are on the line. Automakers are cornered, with every option bleeding money. The only uncertainty is which company will be first to announce mass layoffs. Amid the chaos, opportunity emerges. Stories like Mark, a Nevada construction worker, are becoming more common. He bought a Ford F-150, nearly $10,000, 0 cents below sticker, because his dealer, squeezed by margin calls, had to slash prices. But it's critical to understand not all vehicles will fall equally. The hardest hit will be big SUVs and luxury trucks. Cadillac Escalade, BMW X7, Mercedes GLS, Ford F-250 Limited. Vehicles that sold for 6 figures are already losing 30–40% at auction. Dealers whisper, 2 years ago we fought over these. Today, no one wants them even at cost. The middle segment? Crossovers and mid-size trucks like the Toyota Highlander or Chevy Colorado are dropping 20–25%. Still family staples, but oversupply is forcing discounts. Compacts and hybrids tell another story. Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, Prius, their value drop is softer, around 12–15%. Their fuel efficiency and affordability keep them in demand, making them lifelines for cautious buyers. Geography matters too. In cities like Los Angeles and New York, where lease returns and dealerships concentrate, the crash started sooner and deeper, with prices down 20% already. Rural markets lag, but experts predict a delayed, sharper hit within 6 months. That patchwork means winners will be those who can read trends and time purchases precisely. The used car market isn't just collapsing, it's splitting in two, one for high-credit buyers, another for those already struggling. For anyone above a 720 score, these are golden days. Desperate dealers offer dream deals. One Illinois retiree with a 780 score bought a 3-year-old Lexus ES for $28,000, 0 cents, down from $40,000, 0 cents last year. He even got 0% financing for 60 months and 3 years of free service. For dealers, buyers like him are lifelines. But for subprime borrowers below 650, the doors are slamming shut. Banks demand massive down payments and extortion-level rates. A nurse in Missouri with a 620 score said she used to get approved with $1,000, 0 cents down. Now lenders want $6,000, 0 cents, and are quoting 21% APR. Even an entry-level SUV becomes out of reach. This divide deepens inequality. Some families exit the crash with cars bought for pennies, while others lose their vehicles and with them their jobs. Research group Mobility Now warns 15% of rural workers risk being without transportation in the next 2 years because financing is gone. For them, it's not inconvenience, it's an existential threat. The car market has become not just an economic arena but a battlefield, widening the gap between the financially secure and the vulnerable. Every crisis creates losers and winners. The used car market now offers a once-in-a-generation opportunity for a few savvy buyers. First are cash buyers. With no financing or trade-in hurdles, they dictate terms. Already, some are closing deals 30–35% below market, sometimes even at dealer cost, just to clear lots. Second are the patient. Those willing to wait for the absolute bottom, projected for January to March 2026, will strike gold. Kelley Blue Book analysts expect this window to deliver the lowest prices in a decade. One Minnesotan keeps driving his old Subaru while saving $1,000, 0 cents a month. By early 2026, he'll have $20,000, 0 cents cash, and plans to buy a luxury car at half today's price. Third are counter-cyclical buyers. While the herd chases SUVs and trucks, the sharp ones are snapping up sedans and wagons at fire sale prices. When fuel costs inevitably spike again, these cars will rebound in value, leaving their owners ahead. The losers? Those rushing in now, taking out crushing loans, or clinging to overpriced SUVs, hoping for a rebound. For them, 202-52026 will bring painful losses. For the prepared, it's the chance of the decade. The used car market crisis is no longer a forecast, it's here. In recent months, many models have lost thousands in value, and this is just the beginning. Analysts warn the steepest wave of depreciation in 20 years lies ahead. For millions, that means drained savings and debt traps. But for a prepared few, it's a rare generational opportunity. The question is, which side will you be on? The examples are stark. Jason from Detroit paid $64,000, 0 cents for his truck, and a year later it's worth $13,000, 0 cents less. He's a loser. Mark from Nevada waited and snagged his Ford F-150 nearly $9,000, 0 cents cheaper. Proof that knowledge equals money. The difference wasn't luck, it was strategy. One trusted the market, the other read the signals. Economists compare today's collapse to the 2008 housing crash, except now cars are the asset imploding. Banks are tightening, dealers are shuttering, manufacturers are losing control of inventories. The chain stretches from the individual buyer to state tax coffers, with sales tax revenues already falling in some states, yet even in this bleak picture lies hope. For those willing to wait, observe, and act calmly, 2026 will be the entry point of a decade. The only question is, will you be the one stuck with a toxic loan and sinking thousands, or the one who leverages chaos to save tens of thousands on a purchase? The answer rests with each of us, and time to decide is running out.